Hey folks, welcome to one of our favorite things here at Tested, our Tested's Favorite Things of the Year video for 2019. I'm Joey Fameli, I'm one of the video producers here at Tested, and to kick this off, I'm going to talk about a couple little video things that I've been using this year. Now, I didn't do a whole lot of purchasing, which is probably a good thing for my checking account. I'm still using the GH5, the GH5S like crazy, but I've been working on a lot more sets where rentals have been involved, so I've been getting my hands on a lot more variety of equipment. Now, I talked about Quasar light tubes last year. We've been using Astera light tubes. One of these is the Astera AX1 and the Titan tube. And these are essentially these like fluorescent tubes that work in these RGBW light spectrum, meaning I can change the RGB, I can change the color of them to any color I pick on the color wheel, or I can change them from white balance, from daylight to tungsten. These things are all battery operated, and it's an internal battery that I can charge or we can run from the wall, and I can essentially control everything from an app on my phone. On set, we can kind of sit behind Video Village and really art direct the scene, change colors in certain areas, dim them when we need to, without having to run around on set. This is actually a really easy app to use. I've been loving it. If I've been really busy on set, I can just hand it over to somebody, a production assistant, and say, hey, fiddle with this until we get something we like while I go do other things. People aren't climbing behind cables and adjusting dials. It's a really fun light to use. And like I said, very lightweight, it's durable, it feels nice, it just looks really good. It has a nice quality of light to it. That again is the Astera light tube. The AX1 and the Titan tube are the two I've been using. Now the next thing is actually an iPad app called Procreate. I just recently got an iPad and an Apple Pencil, and I've been using it to storyboard. I love storyboarding any project that I have. I usually draw it out on pencil and paper, and then I scan them into a computer, and I make animatics out of them to give everyone an idea of what we're trying to do. And that's always been fun, but I really wanted to go fully digital. So I got this app called Procreate. It is a pretty inexpensive, very clean, very easy to use drawing app. I really just need to make a composition. I'm not trying to make great art pieces. I'm not that good of a drawer, but I do like to sketch and just kind of block out composition and then jump to like a marker and really just show light and shadow, show what the contrast, what the lighting design is going to look like. And this app just makes it really easy for me to jump into a 16:9 card, sketch out a shot, and then export it into a PDF or JPEG I can take into Premiere. I've also been using this for like figure drawing classes that are here in LA just to kind of sharpen those skills. I love just sketching, and having this on the iPad makes it easy to do this wherever. That, again, is Procreate. I have the whole Adobe suite here, and I do use Photoshop and Fresco sometimes, but I really like this app, and I think for the price, you can't beat it. Now, I love collecting cookbooks for some reason. I love a really well laid out, well designed cookbook from restaurants I really like. So this next one is a cookbook from Nopalito. This is a restaurant in San Francisco that I really like that does Mexican cuisine in a very complex, layered, textured way. They do a lot of sauces, they work with a lot of dried chili peppers, which is why I was attracted to this book. I really wanted to get into the world of cooking with dried chili peppers and making these layered, complex sauces that this book has recipes for. It's been really eye-opening into this entirely different world of cuisine that I'm normally used to. I normally do a lot of traditionally Western European cuisine, but this has been working with flavors and spices and elements that I have not worked with before, and it's been really fun to make all these different sauces and try them out, all these different dishes. That again is Nopalito. Now this next one is from one of my favorite YouTubers, Andrew Ray, and that is the Binging with Babish cookbook. If you have seen his show on YouTube, you know that he creates or recreates recipes and dishes from all of your favorite movies and television. Really fun show to watch. Even if some of the dishes aren't something you'd ever want to try or try to make, he kind of either recreates them or modifies them in a way that's palatable. This cookbook is a collection of those recipes, and it is peppered with little bits of his story and how he does his show, a little bit behind the scenes, and where these recipes come from. It's a fun read. It's a fun book to flip through. I won't necessarily cook a lot of these recipes, but it's a great coffee table book just to flip through and be reminded of some of those favorite scenes in those movies like Goodfellas, where they're slicing garlic with a razor blade. That is Binging with Babish's cookbook. I recommend you also check out his show on YouTube. And lastly, a book that started off an obsession of mine that has been very time-consuming, but ultimately very fun and fulfilling. This is the Tartine cookbook. I've actually never even stepped into a Tartine restaurant in San Francisco, but I do know of them and the sourdough bread that they make. This book was recommended to me by a friend of the site as a guide to understanding and cooking sourdough bread. This is not just yeast, water, and flour. This is creating a starter and cultivating this live thing and creating this environment where your sourdough bread can flourish. It is a challenging thing to do, much more challenging than I thought it would be, but there is a great subreddit that I am highly involved with of sourdough bakers who all post great pictures of their successes, and we all cheer each other on when we do this right. Because it's not always something you do well every single time, and that's kind of the fun of it. It is a challenge every time. It creates delicious bread, much better than the sourdough that you just buy in the store. And having this yeast that you've made, you can use this across multiple recipes, or gift it to others who want to try out sourdough baking if they want to dive into that whole obsession. That again is the Tartine Cookbook. Highly, highly recommend it if you are at all interested in sourdough baking. I also love playing board games. I haven't done a whole lot this year since we've had our kid. She's about a year and a half now, so she demands a lot of attention, but I have found a nice, fun, casual, quick game called Dungeon Mayhem. This is made by Wizards of the Coast, who does Dungeons and Dragons, which I am a weekly player of. They have created this very simple, very fast-paced card game where you essentially pick a class out of a number of classes, get your little deck associated with that, and you battle it out. 2 to 4 players. My wife and I play this at like breweries. We play this on the road when she's taking a nap. It's a very fun game just to cycle through. It's very easy to teach. You can teach anybody in like 5 minutes. It requires a little bit of modification to some of the rules, but ultimately it's a pretty well-balanced game. That is Dungeon Mayhem. And lastly, for a little more complexity, we've been playing Jaws, the board game. This is based off of the movie Jaws. This is a 2 to 4 player game, though I recommend 3 as a sweet spot, where one player takes on the shark, or Bruce, or Jaws, or whatever you want to call him, and the other players take on the humans. You got Quint, Brody, and Hooper. There are 2 acts to this game. One act is the shark running around, swimming around Amity Island rather, eating up swimmers while the humans try to run around and close beaches and pick up swimmers and tag the shark with those iconic yellow barrels. When this happens, when the shark gets tagged or all the swimmers are eaten, you go into the second act of the game, which pits the humans directly against the shark on the Orca, the ship. The humans run around the ship, try to guess where the shark's gonna come up at, and try to kill the shark. And alternatively, the shark is trying to eat the humans. It's a really fun game to play. It's kind of intimidating to look at, but it's really straightforward. The rules take about 20 minutes, but once you kind of get the hang of it, the game and the strategies and everything makes sense, and it's really welcoming to any kind of new players. That again is Jaws. So that is it for me and my favorite things of 2019. As we approach 2020, we'll be hitting 10 years of Tested. March 2010 marks the first time I ever made a video with these guys on tested.com, and it has been a very fun 10 years of doing these videos for you guys, with all these guys. Thank you guys so much for watching all these years. Thank you. Looking forward to the next 10 years of Tested. We'll see you guys in 2020. Until then, have a good year and happy holidays. Good night.